Okay, I don't know why, but this feels a little bit weirder, more weird than the first time I did it. Anyways. Hi, it's Sarah from Knitting in the Wild, back with Verna and some stuff to share and the woods. And it is a holiday weekend, so there is a lot of activity in the campground. So if you hear kids screaming in the background or playing or laughing, that's because it's a holiday weekend and it is busy here at the park. Again, welcome to Knitting in the Wild, the new podcast vlog, whatever they're calling it these days, whatever the kids are calling it these days, from Knitting in the Wild. I'm Sarah, the face of Knitting in the Wild, the voice, the face, all of the things. Let me say thank you so much to everybody who tuned in and watched my first episode from last week. I was just beaming all week with all the people who left comments and who hit that like button and who hit the subscribe button. I tell you what, you made me feel really special and I appreciate it so much. So thank you. I hope that you are back watching again this week. And if you're new, go ahead and check out my first episode. It was a little, newbie, but it was fun. So, okay, well, I have got some things to share. I'm going to start with the camping because here I am in front of Verna. And yes, for those of you who asked, at the end of this video, there will be a short little tour of Verna, and probably I'll do a longer tour of Verna a little bit later, but I'll do a quick tour at the end of this trip, just so you can see the insides, and hopefully she won't be too messy, but even if she is, she's lived in and she's loved, so. So camping, the first thing I want to talk about, again, we're in the same park. So we're at Wild River State Park again this weekend. We had a very odd summer. We're usually camping every weekend in the summer through the fall, but we had a lot of family stuff going on and a lot of things going on. So we didn't camp much yet this year. And so these couple, I just threw them on the calendar and it was just easy to come here to Wild River. So I don't have much more to say about the park itself, although I'm going to try and give you some tidbits of information about parks that I've camped. But I do want to tell you, for anybody in Minnesota, and in fact anybody outside of Minnesota, because I'm sure that state parks in your state have a similar program, but we have what's called the Minnesota State Parks and Trails Passport Club, and you get a little book. It costs $14.95 to join the club, and in this little booklet, each page is a state park. And when you go to the state park, you don't have to camp there, you just have to visit there, and then you get a stamp. At the ranger center, they have the stamp, and so you can go and you can have them stamp. Then you put the dates visited. I put a little like this next to Malabrigo Island. This one is one of my favorite state parks. Anyways, once you get 25 stamps, you send the information in and they give you a pin and a certificate for a free night of camping. And then once you've collected stamps for all 75 Minnesota state parks and recreational areas, that's right, Minnesota has 75 state parks and recreational areas. That's a lot. But we have a really great state, beautiful parts of the state. Once you've collected all 75, you get a plaque. What? A plaque, because we need more stuff in our houses. But then you get another certificate for a free night of camping. There are some state parks that I don't know that I'll camp at, but I certainly would like to visit all of them. So, cars coming in. Big night tonight, I bet. So I just wanted to tell you about, and they also have a hiking club like this as well. So if you hike at the state parks, then you get, I don't know what they give you for free. I'll have to look into that. But yeah, I'll link to it below in the description, just in case you want to know. And like I said, if you're not in Minnesota, you should check out your state parks, because even if you're not camper, even if you're not a camper, there's bound to be beautiful things that you can check out at your local state parks. I also brought this book that I bought quite a while ago by Anne Arthur. It's the 4th edition. I don't know when I bought it, about Minnesota state parks. And in each state park, she gives a little description, the address, what the trails are like, what the campground is like. For example, if I went to the Wild River one, let me just tell you what she says. The campground has 5 loops and 96 sites, 34 of which have electricity. And then she goes on to tell more information, which I already told you last week, so I don't need to tell you again. So that's, I don't know, I just thought I'd share that with you. Next. Now let's get into some knitting. What I'm going to, as you might have been able to tell from the last time, I'm just going to keep it to the traditional vlog of a knitting vlog, with starting out with the what I'm wearing. And as you can see, I am wearing the Wild Ice Sweater by Brianne Moody. Brianne Moody is a Minnesota designer. She lives in the Grand Marais area. Very talented. I will admit to knitting this when I was a slightly larger human being, but it has become my favorite camping sweater because it's made out of Malabrigo worsted. So it's soft and cushy and really keeps me warm. And I can layer it over about 10 different things if I want to. So I really like this sweater. It's one of my faves. I really should re-knit it to my size, maybe in darker colors. I chose light colors, which is not normally my go-to. But I really liked these blue colors. So anyways, that's what I'm wearing. Now let's talk about whips. I showed you my whips last week, and I have something to say about those of you who have lots of whips going on. I don't. I am a monogamous knitter. I used to not be, but for the most part, I tend to have one major project going at a time, and then maybe some socks and maybe a hat, or a couple smaller ones that I can take for the traveling. But most of the time, I like to start a project and finish a project and not have a bunch of them going on. So probably when I share whips, works in progress, there won't be a lot of them to share at one time. For example, last week I shared with you the All About That Brioche, which I'm still working on. I haven't worked on it a lot this week, but I did get more on the black. So I'm still working on that. I don't have any kind of timeline. When it gets done, it gets done. I'm not making it for anything specific, so it doesn't need to be done by a certain date, but still working on that. I did get that red sweater finally taken over to my mother's and measured for the length of the sleeves. So now I know how much more I have to go. So that one I do want to get done fairly shortly. That one was the Amy sweater, if you recall. But I did start something new today because over on TikTok, someone had asked me to do a tutorial of my hand wound center pull. Do you hear that? That's kids. I love it. Center pull hand wound balls. So I did that using this Malabrigo Rasta. I don't know the color, but I'll link it below. But I thought, what a great color for the Gales of November hat by Jamie Rex, who, just as a little bit of info, has the cutest art shed where she sells her wares up in Grand Marais. Shout out to you, Jamie, who also, shout out to me, she sells my little stitch markers in her art shed. So along with her own hand knit items and other trinkets. So if you're ever in Grand Marais, check her out. She's, oh gosh, she's just a nice gal. We were supposed to meet once right after COVID, and we both were like, we're still a little nervous. And then I think we were both really glad that we were both still a little nervous so that we didn't have to feel weird about it. But Jamie, if you're watching, one of these days, girl, one of these days, we're going to meet. I'm going to come up there and we're going to have some coffee and knit. So anyways, Gales of November hat. That's what I'm working on right now. It's a great pattern. I mean, first of all, bulky hats. Come on. I started this like half an hour ago. So it's, I like it because it's got that swirl, right? Just it's knit on size 15 needles, so it goes really fast. And I thought the Gales of November up there on the North Shore, on Lake Superior, on the big lake, is when in November the winds kick up and all the lake just whooshes right up against the rocks and up against this big kind of cliffs that go on the, that jut out on Lake Superior, and the waves hit it so hard that they just splash up so high. That is the Gales of November. And I think that's why she named it that, because this swooshing motion. And if that's wrong, I don't want to be right, because that's in my head. That's what this is. I think she does have a little something written in at the beginning of her pattern. So about that, I just didn't read it because I just get right into the pattern. So that's what I'm working on right now. Gales of November hat, and still my all about that brioche. So those are the two whips. That's it. That's what I got. Now I think I'll share with you a finished object, which is also going to be a self-promotional plug. So I have these adorable mitts, fingerless mitts. They are my own pattern. They're just really, they're called beginner knits 2 ways, because I have them in the round. You can knit them in the round, or you can knit them flat and seam them up the side. So you can knit them 2 ways, depending on what kind of a beginner you are. If you're really, really beginner, you can knit them flat and then seam them up the side. But if you want to like branch out into circular, or if you're a very seasoned knitter and you just want something really quick and easy, and something that you can take with you in the car for a car ride when you're the passenger princess. These are a great pattern as well. Just really simple. Classic Elite yarn is the yarn I used. It's a worsted weight. It's a tweed. I can't think of the name of it right off the top of my head. I do believe it has the word worsted and tweed in it, but I'll link that below as well. And this pattern, actually, you can purchase it on Ravelry, but if you sign up to get my emails on my website, it is free. It's a free pattern. So I don't know. I have a couple sets of these. I like bringing them camping because a lot of times I want my hands, I need a little something, something, you know? But I think I have a bug crawling on my, camping, you know, bugs. So you just want a little something, something, but you need your fingers free to knit. Am I right? Yeah, I think I am. So that's my finished object that I thought I would share. Another finished object I thought I would share with you is a skein of my hand-dyed yarn. I do some hand-dyed yarn. I am not a that is not my, I don't have a big studio where I work and have tons and tons and tons, but I've sold some before, and I'm going to be working on getting some more dyeing done in small batches. But this one is called Night at the Circus. And I just thought it was really something fun to share. Something bright and colorful, kind of matches with Verna. So I thought I'd share it. Yeah. It's a fingering weight yarn. It is 85% superwash merino and 15% nylon, perfect for socks. And in fact, now that I have it here, I think I'm going to start a pair of socks. So I guess I'll have another whip. What other things do you like to do besides knitting? I have so many interests besides knitting, right? I think I talked about that last time. And one of those things is dyeing, as I just showed you, but with natural things. I brought just to share a bunch of squares, cotton squares that I have dyed using natural dyes. This one was dipped in iron, for example. This color was made with sagebrush that I brought back from a trip to New Mexico. Hey Dan, do you have the acorns? This pink was made with cochineal bugs. So I've been dyeing these little squares. Thanks. Thank you, Dan. Dan is my assistant. I've been dyeing these little squares, you know, and I thought it would be fun. Eventually, I would like to sew them all together and make myself just a little quilt. Maybe it'll be a quilt for Verna. But here's logwood. I brought one. I get a lot of my natural dye stuff from, I do not know how to say this, Maiwa. Oh, I'm sure that I said that way wrong. This one happens to be Weld. It is a Canadian company, and I know there are also companies in the United States that sell natural dye stuff. I have this great book from a verb for keeping warm. And I think that her store sells a lot of natural dye stuff as well. I've gotten some there. But this is Weld, And it's just, I don't know if you can see that, but you just put it in the pot with some water and then it makes some dyes. So I thought I'd bring those things to share. And while we're here, there's a lot of oak trees here. And so we've been gathering acorns. Can you see that? I don't know. So we've got a whole bag here of acorns, because acorns, if you dye with acorns, it makes tans and grays. So we're gonna get, I'll tell you what, I say that like I know. I speak like with authority on that subject, except for I don't really know. This will be my first time dyeing with acorns, but hopefully in the next however long, I'll be showing you a finished object of fabric or yarn dyed with acorns. So that's that. One of the things that I do every year, or have for a few years, is a camp and create, where I take a bunch of women and we stay in the camper cabins here at Wild River State Park. And then I bring some artistic, crafty thing for us all to do. And this year we brought these squares, and then we brought paint and stamps. And and then also some embroidery floss. And then we all went home with, like, I think nine of these. So that was fun. I don't know what I'm going to do with those ones. Maybe frame them. That's a stamp. So yeah, so I just wanted to share that as well. I feel like I'm going kind of fast, but I didn't want this video to be too long, because at the end of it, I wanted to show you the inside of Verna. So I guess maybe I'll save the book I'm reading until next time, because I'm sure I won't be done with it next weekend, so I'll probably still be reading it. Yeah. Okay, so that's what I'm sharing. You got what I'm wearing, my whips, my finished objects, some additional crafting, a little bit about, camping. And in 5, 4, that's 3. Wow. In a few seconds here, I'm going to skip to the inside of Verna, where I will give you a little mini tour, and hopefully she's clean. Thanks again for stopping by. I hope you come by again next week. Hopefully I'm going to get these out weekly, give or take. And I just really appreciate you being here. Thanks again. See you next time. Okay, so here's a quick tour of Verna. Bed, used to be a dinette. Some storage. Kitchenette. They call that a gaucho. It does fold out. Bathroom. That's a refrigerator. I'll get her cleaned up and give a better tour for its own video later. Thanks for stopping by.